Hey guys, as of this filming, this is August of 2016. About March of 2015, I posted a video talking about my struggle with vestibular neuritis. So when I posted the video, which is almost a year and a half ago from today, it had been about 6-7 months that I had had this. Go back and watch it and you can see where I was almost a year and a half ago, and when I talk about my background with dizziness. But I'll just do a brief recap here. So in August of 2014, I had a ear infection in my right ear, and I lost my hearing in that ear, and I could hear my voice really loud in that ear, as well as chewing sounds, brushing my teeth, combing my hair, and all that. And I didn't really realize at the time that I had an ear infection. I just thought it was like allergies or something, plugging up my ear, because I have had that happen before. But this hearing loss and what's called autophony, where you can hear your own voice in your ear really loud, that went on for I think that went on for almost 2 months. And my biggest mistake was not going to the doctor to get on some antibiotics or get it treated somehow. 2 weeks or so into having this ear infection, I started feeling very, very dizzy. It did kind of come on gradually, to where I developed some dizziness when I would look down, just like an off balance kind of feeling. And then I'd say maybe a week later, all of a sudden, just in one evening, almost within the span of a few minutes, I just became severely dizzy to the point where I could barely walk. I had non-rotational vertigo, so I had like a severe rocking motion, and disequilibrium, like a off-balance feeling, and I had sensitivity to motion, so if I turned my head any which way, it would just trigger, a spinning feeling from doing that. And it was so bad that I could barely walk. And looking down, tipping my head down, was even worse. I'd tip my head down, and all of a sudden my vision would start to become jumpy. I had the nystagmus in my eyes. So everything looked like it was like vibrating, bouncing around. And I couldn't tolerate having my head down for more than a few seconds. It was that bad. Over time, it became apparent that this infection that I had did some permanent damage in my inner ear. I wasn't getting any better. For 6 weeks, I was not getting any better. But my hearing gradually started coming back in that ear, and I then could no longer hear my voice or other, bodily sounds in my ear, in that right ear. So it got better. That part got better. But the dizziness did not. So I went to a couple doctors, and of course, they don't really know anything about inner ear problems much. So they weren't really of help to me. I don't blame them. That's just how it goes with family physicians. They're not specialists. So then I figured out that I needed to be doing vestibular rehabilitation therapy in order to start getting better and to start overcoming the symptoms. Just click on this link right here to see a video that I did about the exercises that I do every day. So I started doing these exercises, I don't know, like 2 months into this whole ordeal. So I went 2 months without moving around much. And these rehabilitation exercises really do help. So I started doing these exercises, but I started off doing just a few. But I was still kind of sitting around a lot throughout the rest of my day. Big mistake. Shouldn't have been sitting around at all. So I still wasn't the most active for a few months after that. But the exercises did start to help the dizziness symptoms. It takes a little bit of time, and at first, when you first start doing your exercises, you do feel worse, but that's normal. That's just because you're really working your vestibular system. So don't get discouraged, and just remember that it's normal to feel dizzier when you start doing your exercises, but you got to keep pushing through it and doing them every single day, and don't slack. So I'd say maybe a month or so after having started doing these exercises, I started noticing improvements. And actually, I was starting to improve pretty quickly. And then I just started incorporating more things into my day that required me to have my head down, because remember, having my head down was a problem. I'd get very dizzy, or dizzier with my head down. When I had my head down, I started having that real bad rocking sensation, would just get so much worse after a few seconds of having my head down. So I just gradually started exposing myself to these head positions that were problematic. And over time, I started having improvements there too. So the first thing to go was the jumpy vision. So that disappeared. That was the first thing to disappear. I did exercises that addressed the various balance problems, like the sensitivity to head motion. Did a lot of head swinging, spinning, and back and forth movements with my head, up and down, circular, spinning, just all kinds of things to rehabilitate my balance center. So the next thing to disappear was a sensitivity to head motion. That got a lot better. Everybody's going to improve at their own rate. So just because, it takes me a long time doesn't mean it's going to take you a long time. Be patient and don't lose hope. So the other thing that really bothered me is brain fog. So as my brain started learning how to move around again and not be dizzy, or as dizzy, because your brain has to compensate for the damage on this side. So it has to learn how to ignore the signals coming from the bad inner ear. And you kind of have to relearn everything about balance. So your brain does a lot of work. And it's very mentally fatiguing. So the brain fog, I believe, is a result of the brain working really hard at trying to interpret these signals and trying to learn a new way of balancing. So I had all kinds of really bizarre brain fog symptoms, just feeling really strange. Sometimes I had derealization, where everything kind of seemed kind of fake, and I'm just in a fog and a haze all the time. And at first this was pretty constant. All day I had it. Time went on. I continued to get better. The brain fog was still really hanging on though. Went to a neurologist. I don't have the money to go to an ear, nose, throat, or to a balance specialist. The neurologist pretty much ruled out any central brain problem. So I continued, doing activities that required my head being down a lot and really trying to work through the brain fog. If I kept my head in one position for too long, my dizziness symptoms would start to get worse again. That comes back to the whole needing to be moving around as much as possible and not being sedentary. And you do what's called exposure therapy. You put yourself in a position that makes you uncomfortable, and over time your brain learns to ignore it and compensate for it, and you start to get better. I've learned that whatever makes you dizzy, do more of that, so that your brain can learn to overcome that. To rewire itself so that it's not uncomfortable in those situations anymore. So I did the video in March of 2015. So it was a year and 5 months ago from today. I was better at that time than I was from the start of this whole ordeal. And now I'm better than I was then, back in March. I can tolerate, driving longer distances. I don't have sensitivity to head motion at all anymore. I still have on and off problems with disequilibrium, feeling off balance. It is more or less constant, but it is a lot better. I'm noticing that I'm having, my bad days are getting less and less, and fewer and further between, and less severe. Now, it's normal through this whole ordeal to have ups and downs. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have days, sometimes weeks, at a time where you are feeling worse, where you felt like you went back several steps. But that's normal. That's totally normal. Just remember to keep moving around, doing your therapy every day, your vestibular rehabilitation exercises every single day. I find that getting proper sleep at night is important. I notice if I have too many days in a row where I'm not sleeping much, I'll start decompensating. Same with sitting around a lot. If I sit around too much in one day, or I have number of days where I'm sitting a lot, it's a cumulative effect, and I notice I start decompensating and my symptoms start coming back. So yeah, and I noticed I was having better and better days. I'm having more of the better days, and the better days are getting better. But like I said, sometimes I'll feel like I've gone back, but those times aren't lasting as long each time I have the flare-ups. I don't have any more of the vertigo. I never had the rotational vertigo. It was always the non-rotational vertigo that I had for like the first several months, but I don't have any of that anymore. I'm at the second year now. This is the second anniversary from when this whole started, and I'm totally way, way better off than I was then. But I still have a ways to go. I still have to combat the disequilibrium, the feeling off balance. The brain fog is a lot better, hell of a lot better. But I still have occasional difficulties with the brain fog. But at least I'm getting better. At least that's getting better. But I don't really have any brain fog at this moment that I'm sitting here. And usually when I first get out of bed, I'm usually the dizziest. So I'm usually the dizziest when I first get out of bed, and it lasts usually once I get moving around, it tends to kind of go away for the most part. And then towards the end of the day, it gets a little worse. So right before bed, a little bit. The exercises I've been doing for the past year have been pretty constant. Generally speaking, when you're doing them, you want to increase the difficulty level, the challenge level of your exercises, and that usually helps you stay ahead of your brain's learning curve with your balance. And I have noticed that my progress has slowed a little bit, so I'm thinking of ways to increase the difficulty level of what I do every day. I continue to get better, and I'm spending a lot more time outdoors. I was really honestly questioning whether I was ever going to be well enough to do the things I used to love to do, like go hiking and all that. And now I'm doing all of that. I'm going hiking now. I have a good part of my life back, but things are way better. I mean, look, I'm outside now. I'm at this beautiful place. Wow. Okay, somebody just walked up to my car and opened my car door by mistake. Oh, man. Okay. So, and I'm still doing my physical therapy exercises every single day. Just doing them, not slacking. I keep getting better. There are a lot of factors that determine how quickly you'll get better. Like for myself, I notice that if I drink alcohol, much at all, it will cause me to decompensate. So I keep my alcohol consumption to an absolute minimum. And sometimes if I have kind of lost track and had a little bit too much and didn't get enough sleep, and not moved around much, a combination of those things, and I'll really notice it. I'll decompensate quite a bit more. However, when you decompensate or you have a flare-up, I've noticed that I bounce back a lot quicker than I used to. And that's something you'll probably notice too. So another reason not to get discouraged. Just keep going. Do not give up. Do not lose hope. Things will get better. You have to remember that, and you have to keep that in the back of your mind, because you will get better. You just got to keep, doing your physical therapy every day. Move around as much as you can. Stay active. Don't sit around. Get enough sleep at night. It's been continual progress with some flare-ups. I'm much happier now than I was before. And having gone through that, it's kind of given me like a new appreciation for life. So all in all, I am doing much better, but still have a little ways to go. And it's just a work in progress for me. All right. Bye, guys.